My name is Lindsey Curnutte, and this is On Air with Heritage Action, a podcast built for conservatives. Twice a week, we break down in 5-ish minutes or less how you can get involved today in the fight for conservative values. Today, we are talking about a very underreported story, one about Congressional Democrats' ineptitude and how one senator stopped Schumer in his tracks. So on Friday of last week, Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida put a very much needed stop to a fumble from Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer for H.R. 3076, which is the Postal Service Reform Act of 2022. So let's start with the bill itself. Democrats introduced this bill to fix the Postal Service and their financial insolvency by shifting the burden of retiree health benefits and putting all postal retirees on Medicare. So the Postal Service has huge retirement liabilities, and they really struggle to stay financially solvent as it is. But this bill doesn't address that issue of protecting taxpayer dollars in really the grand scheme of things. And it doesn't help the Postal Service enact real reforms and become financially solvent. It just dumps postal workers into Medicare and pretends like that fixes the problem. But it doesn't, because Medicare is overburdened as it is, and it's scheduled to become insolvent in 4 years from now. That's 2026. To top it all off, according to researchers at the Heritage Foundation, all of this unhelpful maneuvering of moving liability from one department to another in this bill, it'll actually cost taxpayers in the long term. Now, earlier this month, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, which is kind of the government organization that scores bills and tells us how much different programs cost, they scored H.R. 3076, but unfortunately, it didn't capture the full scope of future spending because they really only account for the first decade of spending. In fact, Republicans on the Senate Budget Committee are now actively working to see the 20-year impact of this bill and are really asking the CBO to revise its score. So that's kind of the background on H.R. 3076. Heritage Action thinks it's a bad bill and it won't address that massive amount of spending from the Postal Service, and it really just shifts liability. Now, on to those series of events that allowed Senator Rick Scott to really throw a wrench in Chuck Schumer's plan here. H.R. 3076 passed the House last Thursday, and the House clerk sent the bill onto the Senate, but she accidentally sent the outdated version, which means Majority Leader Schumer, he filed a motion on the old version of that bill. Now, the House went back and fixed this correction, but Schumer had already filed a motion for the Senate to consider that incorrect version of the bill. We were going to have the Senate vote on a flat-out wrong version of the bill, which is just unacceptable. So here's where Senator Rick Scott comes in. When Schumer realized the wrong bill made its way over to the House, or from the House, he essentially tried to use a procedural shortcut. He asked the Senate to take up the corrected version of the bill with the shortcut. But this would have required all senators to agree here, and Senator Rick Scott was vigilant. He saw what was going on, he called out the shortcut, and objected so that Senator Schumer couldn't proceed here. Rick Scott essentially said, no, we're not cutting corners just because the House sent over the wrong version of the bill and made that mistake. And that stops the process here. Senator Scott forced the House to go back, do it the right way, and make sure the correct bill text is sent to the Senate. Just what we expect, that the right text should be voted on the Senate. It's just simple there. But here's the kicker. The Senate won't be back in D.C. to pass this bill until at least the end of March because they're out of session. That means because of Schumer's mistake and Senator Scott's vigilance, there's more time for the Senate Budget Committee to get the CBO to provide that long-term score and really unveil the true cost to taxpayers, which means hopefully we can get some members to really see the light and realize that this is a bad bill. And enacting good policy, of course, is not about scoring partisan points, but it doesn't hurt that President Biden won't be able to tout this reform bill as a win in his State of the Union in early March. So this is what's really going on in D.C. I mean, Democrats are literally in disarray. They can't even get a correct bill from the Senate or from the House over to the Senate correctly. And they think no one will call them out for it. They think they can take these shortcuts and no one will hold them accountable. But thankfully, Senator Rick Scott is holding Schumer and Pelosi accountable here for rushing a bad bill with inaccurate information through Congress. So we have a big thanks for Rick Scott of Florida here. He pumped the brakes on this failed bill in this really fumbled process. So today, our call to action, simply call Rick Scott's office. Tell him thank you for holding Democrats accountable in Washington and standing up for the American taxpayer in D.C. We're going to give you his number, too. His phone number is 202-224-5274. Call today. I mean, we need to let Congress know when they're doing the wrong thing. Of course, we need to hold them accountable that way. But we also need to let them know when they're doing the right thing and standing up for taxpayers. And that's what it truly means to hold Congress accountable. That's it for another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard in today's episode, please click the follow button. If you want to receive a text message each time a new episode airs, text podcast to 51776 and you'll never miss an episode. That's podcast to 51776. Hi, it's me again, and we need your help. If you like the insights and activist resources that we're providing, please take just 1 minute and help us spread the word. So follow, like, subscribe, and share this episode of On Air with Heritage Action with your friends and family on social media or even over email or text. We need your help to get others involved in the fight to hold Washington accountable. And don't forget, you are also able to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcasting app on your smartphone. So in-app, you're going to search for On Air with Heritage Action and subscribe so you can download episodes and listen on the go. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a thing. Thanks.